What up, YouTube? Doomnyc here with a deck profile. This is actually my Doomnyc deck profile. Now, before I start explaining the deck, I just want to say that this deck was actually a secret. I actually didn't want to post this on YouTube, but I figured, I've been doing so well with the deck that I decided to post it up for you guys. I'll explain the cards as we go so you guys get a better idea of the deck. So, first off, we start off with Doomnyc Crystal. He's a level 7 vanilla Doomnyc at 2450 attack and 1950 defense. You might say, well, why the hell are you playing a level 7, monster with no effect? Well, this guy can actually be brought out on the field really easy and really fast. And if you've played Doomnyc, I've played this deck like about 15 matches and I've only lost 2 matches. So that's to tell you how good this deck is going. And to be quite honest with you, the 2 matches that I lost, I only lost because I didn't draw Doomnyc Fusion. But pretty much if I get Doomnyc Fusion first turn or second turn, it's pretty much game over. It's been that good. So 2 Doomnyc Crystals. Then we go into Doomnyc Garnet, and I play 3 of these guys. Mainly because he is a Pyro type Doomnyc. So it works well with the fusions. To be quite honest, even though he's a 1900 beat stick, I never ever summon this guy ever. Not to say that you couldn't summon him if you needed to go head to head with Thunder King, but to be quite honest with you, it's not necessary. The way I play the deck, it just is so fluent. The deck is so good, it pluses every single turn. What kind of deck do you know of that pluses every single turn? I don't know of any. Well, this deck pretty much can plus almost every single turn. So there's a lot of times where I win the match and I have like 7 cards in my hand. So that just goes to show you. I play 1 Doomnyc Sapphire. Only reason I play this is because it's a Doomnyc and because it's an Aqua type. And I'll get to that when we get to the extra deck. I play 1 Dandelion just for, the milling effect, the discarding effect. It allows you to get 2 tokens for defense in case you need it. I played 3 Doomnyc Armadillos. These guys search out your deck for any Doomnyc. That's I didn't realize how broken it was until I was searching out Doomnyc Crystal, and I was like, yeah, that's crazy, because if they start searching out level 8 Doomnycs, if that ever happens, then trading is going to be like the engine of the year, because you'll be able to search a level 8 Doomnyc and then discard it with trading to draw 2 cards, and then you're getting Doomnycs in the grave for Doomnyc Fusion. That would be too broken. But Gem Armadillo is really good. It really thins out the deck fast. The only problem I see with this card is that it's a Gem Armadillo and not Gem Knight Armadillo. If it was Gem Knight Armadillo, this card would be phenomenal. Right as it stands right now, it's a really good card, but I kind of hate having it go on the field and then it just sits there because you can't do anything with it right now. But it's still pretty good and I'm still running it at 3, so let's continue to keep going in that direction. Next up, we've got Doomnyc Alexandrite, probably the most important Doomnyc out of all of them. I didn't realize this. It took me a while, but playing the deck I kind of realized that, yeah, every time I play Armadillo, I would search out Alexandrite and then summon this the next turn, tribute it for Doomnyc Crystal, because this guy, you can tribute him to summon, special summon any normal Doomnyc monster from your deck. So most of the time I tribute him off and I get Crystal on the field. So now I've got a beat stick and I can decide various things of what I want to do. Next up, we've got Gem Turtle. I originally started playing this deck with just 1 of these because in this type of format you don't really want to set too much. Most of the time people are going to destroy your face-down monsters without attacking you, but in this deck I thought it was necessary. It was either run this or run Gold Sarcophagus, because honestly, if you don't draw that Doomnyc Fusion first turn, you need to get it as soon as possible. So Gem Turtle definitely helps you get it out a little bit faster. That's why I play 2 of them. One Glow Up Bulb, same thing for Synchro ability. Spore, exactly the same. These guys are really good. And especially if you can mill with certain cards like Hidden Armory, then these become even better. The one Summoner Monk, not 2, even though I know it can be played at 2, but I will play 2 once I start playing, once Shock Ruler comes out in real life. The point of this deck right here is not to show you what Gem Knights can do as a complete deck, because who knows how long we're going to have to wait for all the Gem Knight stuff. This deck is based on what we're going to be getting in the next Hidden Arsenal, so this is really soon. So when you guys watch this video, keep in mind the cards in this deck profile, because as soon as Hidden Arsenal 6 drops, you'll be able to make this deck and play it and see how good it is. So one Summoner Monk, it's just really good for ditching a spell, most likely Gem Fusion, and getting your Alexandrite and then tributing this off for either Gem Crystal or something else that you need. Then I play Thunder Dragon. I play 3 of these. You're probably wondering what the hell. Honestly, I play this because of the way it pluses. Once you draw 1, you discard it to get 2 more. So already you just +1, and then this is a Thunder type monster, and once we get to the extra deck, I'll get more into that. Then we have Volcanic Shell, which I also played 3 of. This is one of the best cards in the deck by far. All it costs you is 500 life points, and you get to special summon 1 as long as you have 1 in the grave. So a lot of times, if I draw a Future Fusion first turn, I will ditch probably a Crystal and a Volcanic Shell for this guy right here, Gem Knight Citrine. And then once that happens, I activate Shell's effect and I bring another shell to my hand. So in case I have Gem Knight Fusion, I can go into Citrine right away while there's another one on the way. So that's the monster count, 24 monsters. It may seem like a lot at first, but you really have to play the deck, because once you get Gem Knight Fusion in your hand, you'll understand why you need to play this many monsters. Next up, we've got DDR, Different Dimension Reincarnation. This is obviously an MVP card in the deck. It allows you to discard a card and special summon 1 from your removed from play pile. Now, I don't know if you guys know how Gem Knights work, but basically this card right here, Gem Knight Fusion, is one of the most broken fusion spell cards I have ever seen in my life. Playing this deck, I realized just how broken this is. This is like automatic pluses. Every time you use it and there's a Gem Knight in the grave, you remove it from play, you bring this card back to your hand. Sometimes during the same turn, I will do this like 5 times and bring this back to my hand 5 times, depending on how many Gem Knights I have in the grave. This is extremely good for cards like DDR, because you need something to discard as a cost. If Gem Knight Fusion is the cost that you're using and you can get it back so easily, it's like you almost used DDR at no cost at all. That's very awesome. This card Gem Knight Fusion reminds me a lot of Sinister Serpent in the fact that I can get this back so easily that this card is probably, if Gem Knights take off, which I think they will, this card is probably going to go to 1 because it's that good. Dark Hole Staple, Future Fusion. A lot of the times, there's pretty much 2 plays I make with this card. The first one is dumping Crystal and Shell if I don't already have a Shell in the grave or in my hand. And secondly is dumping Sapphire and any one of the other Gem Knights, Alexandrite, Crystal, or Garnet, to bring out this guy, Aquamarine. And the only reason I do that is because Aquamarine is a failsafe for certain cards that you cannot get off the field. I love Aquamarine's effect that when he is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to send 1 card on your opponent's field back to their hand. Now you might think, well, if you're going to do that for back row, it might not be that good. But when they have a Stardust Dragon or a Wind-Up Zenmaines on the field, or a Blackluster Soldier, something like that, that's going to be really hard to get off the field. You can go into Aquamarine, use Gem Knight Fusion again, use Aquamarine as a target, and then, fusion into something else like citrine. And when he is sent to the graveyard as that fusion material, his effect still activates, and it will still send that Stardust Dragon back to the extra deck. I can't tell you how many tight jams that has gotten me out of. That is just so broken. Next up, we play the 3 Gemnite Fusions. Obvious, the best spell card in the deck, and definitely you have to play this at 3 because drawing it first turn is a must. Heavy Storm, just to get rid of back rows, because you yourself do not play many back rows, so Heavy Storm is really good. I play 2 Hidden Armories, and this is good for 2 reasons. First, it gets me my DDRs quickly from either the deck or the grave, so it helps me thin out my deck. And I need that because I'm always removing stuff from the grave to get back my Gemnite Fusions. Secondly, Hidden Armory's effect of milling a card can actually be very good, because more times than not, I'll mill a Gemnite, I'll mill one of the plants, and if I'm very lucky, I'll mill a Gemnite Fusion, in which case, if I didn't have one, that was just a game changer. So, Hidden Armory is pretty good. The effect that you can't set or normal summon the turn you use it is kind of bad, but if you play the deck right, you can get around it. Next up, we've got Heavy Monster Reborn, Staple. Pot of Avarice is, of course, because the stuff that you can't remove, such as the armadillos, the turtles, the plant stuff. Well, if you use Spore, the Summoner Monk, the Thunder Dragons. More times than not, if you get Pot of Avarice, you'll use it on 3 Thunder Dragons and 2 Volcanic Shells. That way, as soon as you draw your cards, you're going to use Volcanic Shell's ability, get another shell from your deck, and if you drew a Thunder Dragon, you just discard it again to get 2 more. Pluses galore. Alright, that's the spells. Now let's go on to the traps. You play 2 Phoenix Wing Blast. It's the same reason why I'm playing DDR, because Gemnite Fusion is almost unlimited discard fodder. So with Phoenix Wing Blast, it also gets you out of tight spots. Really good. 1 return. This is obvious. There's been a lot of times where I play a match and I have about 6 or 7 removed from play Gemnite, and if I play this, it's probably too much for my opponent to handle. And then finally, Trap Dust Shoot. I can't say how good this card is. You guys already know. So this is the main deck. Now the side deck isn't filled out yet. I mean, but the normal stuff. I will side in these 2 MSTs just in case, but really the deck doesn't need it. Now let's go on to the extra deck, which is probably the most important. So we already talked about Aquamarine, and about when he leaves the field, whether he's a fusion material for a fusion monster or however he does, he gets the effect to send a card back. That's great for removal of monsters that are hard to get over. Next we've got Gemnite Citrine, and I play 3 of these guys because this guy is awesome. First off, he's a Pyro type Gemnite, and there's times where you can fuse him and your shells continuously, keep removing them for Gemnite Fusion, and then bam, hit him with return and bring all of them on the field at once. Usually that sets up your Gemnite OTK, but I'll get into that at another time. Citrine's effect is when this card battles, your opponent cannot activate spell, trap, or monster effects until the end of the damage step. What does that mean? That means that any D-Prisons, Mirror Forces, stuff like that cannot be activated when this card's attacking. What I love about this card, and probably the best thing about it, is if this card attacks a monster and destroys it, and it has an effect that activates after it's destroyed, that monster's effect does not activate. That means that Mystic Tomato, Sanguine, Reborn Tengu, anything like that that gets destroyed by this card, they do not get their effects. So Tengu does not get to search another one. That Sanguine does not get to search that effect veiler from your deck, and so on. So that is phenomenal. You kill that face down Raikou, face down Snowman Eater, they do not get to activate their effects. I can't tell you how important that is right now in this meta. I play 2 Gemnite Prism Auras, 2450 attack. Oh, by the way, Citrine is 2200 attack. So his effect is so good, they couldn't give him an attack that was too high. But They balanced it out a little bit with this guy, Prism Aura. He's 2450 attack, and once per turn you can discard one Gem Knight card to destroy one face-up card on the field. Now this is obviously very good because if you bring this guy out and he requires a... Oh, I should talk about that, right? Citrine requires a Gem Knight monster and a Pyro type. So Pyro being the shells and the garnets with any Gem Knight. So you can actually use Garnet and Garnet to get him. You can use Garnet and Shell or any other Gem Knight and Shell, and you can get Citrine. For Prism Aura, he requires a Thunder type and a Gem Knight. So any of these Gem Knights will work right here. And also the Thunder Dragon. So this is why the +1 from the Thunder Dragon becomes so key once you have Gem Knight Fusion, because at any given point I want to be able to go into Citrine or Prism Aura depending on what I need. Those are for the Gem Knight fusions. Imagine Aquamarine is the only one that I'm using from Hidden Arsenal 5. I'm not using Ruby because you don't need it. In Hidden Arsenal 6, we're going to get Citrine and Prism Aura, so these two are going to be the main staple cards. There are more fusions, but they come out in later sets. I want to show you guys what you can play as soon as we get Hidden Arsenal 6. Next up for the Synchros, these are by far the best Synchros that you can play in this deck. Catastor, Black Rose, Bryonic, Formula, and Formula is ridiculously easy to get out in this deck. Naturia Beast, you know, you can use Turtle or Armadillo plus your Glow Up Bulb and you can get that really easy. Scrap Dragon, absolutely needed in this deck, especially if you go for Scrap Dragon, you can go Glow Up Spore and this guy. All the fusions, Citrine and Prism Aura, they're both level 7, so you can go level 8 really quickly with Glow Up Bulb or Spore. Scrap Dragon has unlimited fodder in Gem Knight Fusion as long as you have Gem Knights in the grave. Shooting Star Dragon, you don't know how many times I've been able to bring this out. It's just, the deck is just that good. Stardust Dragon, and of course Trishula. And Trishula is also very easy most of the time. If I have Glow Up in the grave and I set the Gem Turtle and they attack it, I flip, I get a fusion. Then next turn I summon the Armadillo, and then I get rid of 2 cards on the field that I normally wouldn't be able to get rid of by bringing the ball back and going Trishula. So again, this deck is beyond the amount of pluses. Like, I'm telling you, so many duels that I've won with this deck where I have 6 or 7 cards in my hand. It's utterly ridiculous. I beg you guys, please try this deck out. This was supposed to be a secret deck that I was playing, but I decided to show you guys firsthand. So try it out and let me know what you guys think, alright? And I just timed out due to inactivity. Alright guys, peace.